all I've done is I've just put the spindle against the string, put on the inside, given it a twist, and it is set up in the bow. There you go. There you can see it. Okay, I'm going to put one end on the bearing block. Sorry, I'm going to put one end on the hearth board. Try and get a even surface to work on here. Now I'm going to put my spindle right there. Put my foot on my hearth board. Put my shell on my spindle and use my bandana to hold the shell. Now I'm just going to do this nice and slow at first, just to seat the spindle in the wood. This is a time that I find is really kind of frustrating for people who've done a friction fire for the first time, because it takes a while for that spindle to seat into the hearth board. Just got to be patient. That's all there is to it. Alright, there it goes. Burning and starting. Now with the burning in, it's interesting because you know how I was saying that this can get quite frustrating when you start out, because it feels like it's just not doing anything. Then all of a sudden, it stops feeling smooth as you move it across, and it feels you feel a little bit more resistance. It feel a little bit tacky, and then just like that, the smoke starts coming out, and it starts burning in. Now, when you burn in, I'm going to show you what the end looks like. Now you'll notice that it's not burnt in all the way up the sides of the spindle. What I mean by that is that line where I started the bevel, you want the burn to come to that point, because if you don't, you'll find that the edges of your spindle will catch. Now as we go along, you want to trim the sides, but if you don't burn up to the edge there, you're going to find problems later on. So when you get a burn in, keep on going until those edges are burnt right up to that line we started the bevel. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah. keep that supported off the ground because I want to keep that dry. I don't have to touch any moisture. And as you can see, the top of the spindle with this seashell is, there's hardly any friction there at all. Okay, so there's my burnt in, and as you can see, that burn in is pretty much exactly on the edge. It's right where I want it. Now, I've got to carve my notch. Get my knife, we'll do that. Now, carving the notch. The way I'm going to carve this is, if you look at, on YouTube, if you look up Mitch from Native Survival, he's way better at this than I am, but he has this really good technique of the 25% rule. And what he says is basically 25% of the overall diameter, that's how deep you want to make your notch. So what that means is a quarter of the way in, or basically halfway between the center and the edge, right there, that's how deep you want to make your notch. And also 25% of the way from the center to either side, that's where you want to start your notch. So the way I'm going to start this is I'm going to take my knife, I'm going to line it up with the center of the burn-in, and I'm just going to make a vertical mark along the edge. I've just made a vertical mark there. Now, 25% either way. I'm going to make another mark there and there. So 25%, basically halfway between the center and the edge on both sides. Oops. Okay, so you see I've got, if you can see that, I've got my hole, and I've got 3 marks. There's my center line, there's one side, there's the other side. On each of these 2 outside, I'm going to start a notch that goes in, and they'll join 25% of the way in, right there. Not too shallow, not too deep. I'm going to start with a cut at the top, so that I can see how deep it has to go. And then work my way down. Okay, that's it. That's how deep my notch needs to go. I just need to work it all the way down. There it is. There's my notch. Just a straight notch. Now, at the bottom, I flared it ever so gently so there can be a little bit more oxygen in there, but not much. I've experimented with this and tried to make it come out really quite significantly, and found that doesn't really help. Just a nice straight notch, in my experience anyway, I find that the ember builds up faster. What I do find with this stock is that this might just be just a little bit too thick. So what we might find here on the first burn is that I can't get an ember that builds up fast enough so it stays hot. Often I'll find that I need to do 2 tries at making the ember, but we'll give it a go and see how it works out. That's my notch. All the pieces are now finished. I'm just going to get a piece of birch bark now, and and that's going to be my welcome mat. I put that underneath to catch the ember.